This problem gives us a big fraction, and it wants us to take the derivative and then plug in 5. Okay, so let's bring it on down. So it's equal to 3x plus 6 over 4x plus 5. Okay. So now you might think, you can tell by my tone it's wrong, that we can take the derivative by just do the derivative of the top, that'd just be 3. Derivative of the bottom, just be 4, we're done. No, you can't do that. There's a whole special rule for when two functions are divided. So let me clarify. Let me come up here. So if you have two functions, say they're added, and you want to take the derivative of the whole group, you can just do the first one, do the second one. So for added or subtracted, just do each separately. No big deal. Who cares? I mean, some fancy rule. But if you have two functions, let's do multiplied first. I have two functions multiplied together. You might think just do the first and do the second one, but that's wrong. Instead, you've got this whole fancy rule called the product rule, which you probably know, where you do the first one, the second one just sits there, and then the first one just sits there and you do the second one. They take turns. That's called the product rule. That's not what we need. I just want to show you all the rules here. And then thirdly, if you have two functions of x divided, and you want to take the derivative of the whole thing, as we're trying to do here, try to take the derivative of this whole thing, two functions of x divided. Again, you might think, oh, just do the top one, do the bottom one. No, no, no. That's fine for adding. For adding, subtracting, you can just do each one separately. That's great. But that's not fine for multiplying or dividing. For multiplying, again, you've got to take turns. And the first one goes first. Well, for dividing, it's almost exactly the same. You got to take turns, and the first one goes first. So it's f prime g, and it's f g prime. So it looks exactly the same, but it's subtraction. And then you got to divide it by the second one to the bottom one to the second power. Do you see that? Do you see how the rule for how we handle two functions divided is exactly the same, was almost the same as two functions multiplied. See the f prime g, f g prime, f prime g, f g prime. It's just instead of plus in the middle, you have minus, and then you divide by the denominator squared. That's the special rule called the quotient rule, because two things dividing things is called a quotient. So that's the quotient rule. So when you have two functions of x divided, it's called the quotient rule. Two functions of x multiplied, want to take the derivative, it's called the product rule. So that's what we have to do. All right. Some people like to say low de high, high de low. That's fine. I don't know. I just say, hey, look, it's the same as the product rule, except it's minus, and then you do the square. But anyway, there's that if you want to look, and you can go online and find out what low-D high, high-D low means. That'll work. Some of you like that, already know it. Great. That'll work fine as well. Same thing. All right, here we go. So the derivative, I'm going to do it. See, this is prime now. I'm taking the derivative. Okay, so what do you do first? You do the first one first. Now, what's the derivative of 3x plus 6? It's just, yeah, let me show this. What is the derivative of 3x? Well, the derivative is, I take the derivative of 3x. Well, this has a little 1 power. Bring the 1 down, that's 3. Subtract 1 from the power, whoops, x to the 0. Plus, and what's the derivative of just a constant number that doesn't have an x? It's 0. And then what is x, 3x to 0? It's 1, right? Anything to 0 power is 1 plus 0. So that's just 3. So the derivative of 3x plus 6 is just 3. Is that making sense? So if you want to save time in the future, you can just say, look, when you have just a number next to x, that 1 power just comes down, and then subtract 1 at 0 power, it's gone. And the constant number is just 0. So there's the derivative of the top times the bottom just sits there minus, and then it's the bottom one's turn. What's the derivative of 4x plus 5? It's just going to be 4, right? Because derivative of 4x, the 1 power just comes down, subtract 1, 0 power gone, 5 is gone, it's be 0, times, and then you have the top, which is 3x plus 6. You can put them either order if you want to. put the 4 at the back. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what. So and oh, over, let me not forget that. Let me do that a little better. Over the denominator to the second power. So we're going to clean it up a little bit, but do you see what I've done so far? So again, when you have two functions of x multiplied, you can't just do the top one, do the bottom one. No, that works for added, subtracted functions, but not for multiplied and divided. Multiplied, you have a special rule called the product rule where they take turns. Divided, it's pretty much the same thing. They take turns. The first one goes first, second one sits there, but then minus instead of plus. Then the first one sits there and the second one's turn, divided by the denominator squared. So now let's just clean this up a little bit. This 3 is just going to distribute. Let me put a nice bar there for us. 12x plus 15, and then this guy distributes. This will be minus 12x minus 24 over the denominator is just going to sit there. Okay. We're almost there now. But then we get the other plugin. Okay. So let's keep going. What do we got? So now we'll say, okay, this is 12x minus those are gone. So 15 minus 24, what's that? Minus 9. I am minus 9 over 4x plus 5 squared. I think that's the answer, right? First part, yeah, minus 9 over x plus squared. There we go. And then they say, okay, now plug in 5. So we go, okay. So f prime 5 equals. So we're going to plug in the 5 right there in the x spot. So then just clean that up, I guess. So minus 9, what's that? 20 plus 5, so it's 25 squared. You can hit the buttons on Desmos if you need to. That's 625. 9 or 625, is that what they said? Yeah, 9 or... Oh, wait, negative? Oh, I lost that negative on the top right there. See, I lost him. Very well. So, all right, minus 9 over 625. So there we go. So one more time then. If you just have two functions added or subtracted, yeah, just do each one separately, no big deal. But if you have two functions multiplied or divided, there's special rules for taking the derivative. It's take turns, basically. And so the first one goes first, plus, then it's the second one's turn for product rule. For quotient rule for dividing, again, it's the first one goes first, then it's the second one's turn, but it's minus over second function squared. The denominator function squared. And so there we go. Product and quotient rules, really important. We'll use those all semester and all through Calc 2 and 3.